Calling is a 3-day conference presented by Pepperdine University and the Malibu Public Library Speaker Series. This second annual event includes a keynote address by climate activist Bill McKibben, a film screening, and student presentations educating participants on the subject of climate change.
Here we are at Pepperdine, second year of Climate Calling Conference. There's a lot going on this year. The main speaker was Bill McKibben, talking about what's going to happen in the future, and I think opening everyone's eyes.
2014 was the hottest year ever on this planet. Then 2015 crushed the record set in 2014. So far, 2016 is devastating the record set last year. This is by far the most serious problem that human beings have yet stumbled into.
And then this afternoon we're looking at the poster session by the students. I really like the topics that students have taken on.
Our project is about investing and divesting, and we just address the financial aspect of climate change.
A plant that's on the front lines of climate change.
It takes the plastic bottle about 500 to 1,000 years to decompose.
We look at environmental justice and environmental racism as environmental issues that disproportionately affect minorities.
Our research is based on how much water is used to produce one plastic water bottle.
The problem that we're trying to solve is the amount of tennis balls that go into the landfills every year.
There are scientists who think we may lose upwards of 10% of the world's coral reefs in this year. They can't deal with that rise in temperature. I talked with the scientist who came back from aerial overflights of the Great Barrier Reef a week ago, and he described it as the saddest research trip he'd ever been on, that half the coral in the northern part of the Great Barrier Reef, the biggest coral assemblage on Earth, was dead now, turning white, bleached. Those are astonishing changes.
Institutions like our university can contribute to climate change, or they can help to ameliorate the situation through the way that they invest their money. So a lot of universities have an endowment fund and they want to maximize their profits, so they invest in mutual funds or stocks and bonds, and they can do that either wisely in companies that support green solutions, or unwisely in dirtier companies like fossil fuel companies.
I do not try to fool myself that individual action is actually doing anything to stop climate change. Important though, at some level, it is. At this point, given the time we have, is a structural, systemic problem, which means that yes, you should change your light bulbs, but if you have a limited amount of energy or money or time, the thing that you should prioritize is the political action, however you define political, that changes those structures and systems.
We looked at the native keystone species laurel sumac, also known as Melasma lorina. We noticed in the past couple of years that there's been severe dieback of this plant that normally is one of the most drought-hardy plants throughout the Santa Monica Mountains.
These are some of the products of irrigation with recycled oil well water. Chevron actually has been subsidized, and farmers have been subsidized by the government. These products are being recycled with water because of the California drought.
The most important thing you could do as an individual is not be an individual, okay? It's to join together with other people in the kind of coalitions and organizations and movements that actually change things. Those are the lessons that things like the civil rights movement taught us.
We found out that there's 20,000 tons of tennis balls going into the landfill every single year. So that's basically the equivalent of 40 Olympic-sized pools of tennis balls alone.
About 55 tons of methane are emitted from landfills every year in the US alone. That only accounts for about 16% of the methane that's emitted by humans.
Pepperdine's very lucky to be here in Malibu, but it has huge work to do back where it used to be in South Central.
As a Christian university, it's necessary for us to tie in the ecological and theological virtues. So we chose sustainability, which is kind of understanding that our resources that we're given are limited and that they can run out.
We've now reached the point where these effects are having endless and painful effects on the life of people around the world everywhere. Beginning, of course, with the poorest, most vulnerable people on the world, who are also the ones who have done the least to cause any of it.
Uganda emits about 0.11 metric tons of carbon per year, and the US emits about 17.5. They've had more floods and droughts in the past decade than in the 90 years prior, and that is increasing the food insecurity as a result of the floods and droughts combined. And it's now the wealthy nation's responsibility to help financially in order to help Uganda and other developing nations.
We feel that as Christians, it's our responsibility to be good stewards of the earth and also to look out for our neighbors in other countries, including marginalized populations who are often the most adversely affected by this issue.
It's possible that these plants very well could bounce back if we start to get more rain events, but it's possible too that we're at the tipping point beyond which the ecosystem is going to look a lot different.
This is the biggest thing humans have ever done, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it. The question is how fast we can get to that future. Can we somehow get there in time to catch up with to catch up with physics, to catch up with the climatic devastation that's already underway?
We found out that there's a program called Project Green Ball, and Project Green Ball sends the dead tennis balls to a company in New York who then grinds up the tennis balls and then mixes it with dust and then can use that to make turf fields for therapeutic riding centers.
The fair trade organizations are really providing a way for us to make choices as consumers that affect those across the world, even just buying something as small as a bag of coffee.
What we've got to do is to take the energy and mix it with all the questions and then focus it on the people that can do something about it.
I look forward very much to fighting shoulder to shoulder with you going forward.